The 1998 McDonald's All-American team might be one of the weakest we've seen in terms of NBA talent. Only one guy made an All-Star team, and quite a few of these guys never played in the NBA. Though it's worth noting Dirk Nowitzki is technically in this class, but obviously wasn't eligible. Anyway, let's jump into the 1998 class of McDonald's All-Americans and see what happened. Erick Barkley. E-Bark started his high school career at Christ the King in Queens before moving to the Maine Central Institute in Pittsfield. He also starred on the Riverside Hawks AAU squad, which included future pros Lamar Odom, Meta Sandiford Artest, and Elton Brand. For his college career, Barkley joined Artest at St. John's. Similarly to Artest, he spent 2 seasons with the team, helping lead them to the Elite Eight in 1999. He averaged 14.6 points, 4.6 assists, and 2.6 steals during his 2 years in school. The Trailblazers picked him with the 28th pick in the 2000 draft. E-Bark spent 2 seasons with the team, playing in 27 total games, averaging 2.9 points a night. In 2002, he was traded to the Spurs, who traded him to the Bulls before the season started. Unfortunately, he was waived the same day and never played in the NBA again. Barkley did spend several seasons playing overseas, with stops in Greece, Israel, Croatia, Romania, Poland, and Canada. Barkley spent the 2011 season as a player-coach in Canada before retiring. Soon after, he was an assistant coach at Christ the King. As of 2020, he was still coaching at the youth level, though he was embroiled in some controversy after punching an opposing parent following one of his son's games. Jeff Boschee. Boschee played college ball at Kansas. Over his 4-year career, he proved to be a solid guard for the Jayhawks, never averaging below 10 points a night. He won the Big 12 Rookie of the Year as a freshman and picked up the Big 12 Tourney MVP in '99. In 2002, he helped Drew Gooden, Nick Collison, and Kirk Heinrich get to the Final Four, losing to the eventual champs Maryland. Boschee went undrafted that year, so he spent a few seasons playing in lower domestic leagues and Greece. In 2004, doctors discovered cysts on his hip sockets, one of which was leaking into his hip. He played 1 more season in the ABA in Iceland before retiring. Boschee then did some assistant coaching at the high school level in Kansas before joining the staff at Missouri Southern State, a D2 school. In 2014, he became the team's head coach, leading them to 4 20-plus win seasons in 8 years. In 2022, he left the school to become the head coach at Pittsburgh State. As of 2025, he's still working as the Gorillas' head coach. Jason Capel. Capel's father played at Fayetteville State in the 70s before becoming a longtime coach, most notably at Old Dominion. The younger Capel joined North Carolina for college. He was a solid contributor from the jump, dropping 9 points as the 5th option on a team that finished with 24 wins. Capel continued to grow as a player during his 4 seasons, finishing his college career by averaging 15.6 points, 8.6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal a night to earn his 2nd straight 3rd team All-ACC nod. Capel went undrafted in 2002 and did a 2-year stint in the G League before heading overseas. He spent time in Japan, Italy, and Serbia before joining Buzz Peterson's staff as an assistant coach at Appalachian State in 2009. The next year, Peterson left for UNC Wilmington, and Capel took over as the head coach for 4 seasons. The team struggled to win, and his contract wasn't renewed in 2014. He did some broadcast work before joining the Pittsburgh staff in 2018. As of 2025, he's been there for 7 years and has made 1 NCAA tournament. Capel's older brother Jeff played college basketball at Duke and became a college coach himself. He led VCU to the tourney in 2004 before taking over as the Oklahoma Sooners coach in 2006 and leading the team to the Elite Eight with Blake Griffin and Willie Warren. He left the school in 2011 to work as the associate head coach at Duke before taking over as the head coach at Pittsburgh in 2018 and hiring his brother. Ronald Curry. This is not the first time I've covered Curry on the channel because he was also a football star. He was the first player in history to make the All-USA football team as a junior and won the football version of the USA Today's National Offensive Player of the Year during his senior season. Then he made this list to wrap up one of the most impressive high school careers we've ever seen. Curry was originally committed to playing football and basketball at Virginia, but he switched to North Carolina, leading Virginia fans to call him Benedict Curry. During his first 2 seasons at UNC, Curry played football and basketball, starting at quarterback when healthy, and coming off the bench in basketball alongside fellow two-sport star Julius Peppers. On the gridiron, Curry struggled with coaching changes, never really breaking out like many assumed he would. That said, he did have 2 incredible bowl performances, winning MVP honors in the '98 Las Vegas Bowl and the 2001 Peach Bowl. Over his 4-year football career, Curry threw for 4,987 yards, 28 TDs, and 35 INTs, adding 1,249 yards and 13 touchdowns as a runner. He was less successful on the basketball court, averaging 4.2 points and about 3 assists during his 2 years of on-court action. Despite the up-and-down college football career, the Raiders took a flyer on Curry in the 7th round of the 2002 draft. He switched to wide receiver before the season started, slowly working himself into a larger role by 2003. Unfortunately, 12 weeks into the 2004 season, he tore his ACL. He'd been having a mini breakout that year with 50 catches for 679 yards and 6 touchdowns. He re-aggravated the injury the next season, missing all but 2 games. He came back to play well for 3 more seasons, finishing his 7-year run in Oakland with 193 catches, 2,347 yards, and 13 TDs. In 2009, he signed with the Lions and Rams, but was released from both before the season. He soon jumped into coaching, working his way up to the NFL by 2014. As of 2025, he's working as the quarterback's coach for the Buffalo Bills. Teddy Dupay. Dupay was a lethal 3-point marksman in high school and for the Florida Gators. He averaged double figures throughout his career, helping the team to the national title game in 2000, though the Gators lost to Michigan State. Unfortunately, he was dismissed from the team ahead of his senior season after admitting to gambling on games. He did not play in the NBA, and his overseas impact was minimal. In 2009, Dupay was sentenced to 30 days in prison for the assault of his then-girlfriend. Since then, he has turned his life around and has spent the last decade coaching at the youth level via his basketball academy. Dane Fife. Fife was recruited to play basketball and football after starring at quarterback in high school. However, he decided to sign with Bobby Knight and the Indiana Hoosiers, which was a slight surprise given his dad played baseball and his older brother played basketball at Michigan. His dad also spent a few years playing pro ball for the Twins, so it's not a huge surprise that Dane was a good athlete. Fife never became a star for Indiana, but grew into a quality guard who won the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year award in 2002. He considered leaving the school in 2000 when Knight was fired, but decided to stay and help lead the Hoosiers to the 2002 national title game, losing to Maryland 64-52. Fife spent 1 season in the CBA before heading back to Indiana to work as a grad assistant in 2003. In 2005, he took over as the head coach at Purdue University Fort Wayne. He coached there until 2011, when he joined the Michigan State staff as an assistant. In 2021, he joined Mike Woodson's staff at Indiana, but was let go in 2022. Dan Gadzuric. Gadzuric was born in the Netherlands, but played prep ball at Governor Doomer in Massachusetts. The 6'11 big man signed with UCLA for college ball. He enjoyed a solid 4-year career with the Bruins, averaging 10.5 points and 7.3 rebounds. His junior season was probably his best, dropping 11.7 points, 8.6 rebounds, and a hair under 2 blocks a night for a team that finished 23-9. The Bucks picked him in the 2nd round of the 2008 draft. He He spent 8 years with the team, mostly coming off the bench. In 2005, he started 81 games and averaged 7 points, 8 boards, and just over a block a night. However, he moved back to the bench the next season when Milwaukee added Andrew Bogut. In 2010, Gadzuric was traded to Golden State, who later traded him to New Jersey for a package that included the pick that eventually became Draymond Green. Gadzuric played 2 games for the Knicks in 2012 and made a few practice teams, but never played in the NBA after that season. He spent a few years playing overseas and retired in 2014. As of 2025, he's mostly spending time raising his family, though he's also invested in several businesses. Al Harrington. Harrington decided to skip college and enter the 1998 NBA draft. The Pacers picked the 6'9" big man, 25th overall. Harrington got off to a slow start in the NBA, but began to get solid minutes in 2001. The next year, he brought his scoring up to 13 a night before a knee injury forced him to miss the final 38 games of the season. He came back and continued to put up solid minutes for Indiana, getting 6th Man of the Year votes over the next 2 seasons. In 2004, the Pacers traded him to Atlanta for Steven Jackson. There, he became an everyday starter, raising his points per game to nearly 19 a night in 2006. After that season, the Pacers reacquired him in a sign-and-trade deal, but dealt him to the Warriors midway through the season. After a year and change with the Warriors, Harrington was traded to New York for Jamal Crawford. Over 140 games, he averaged 19 points, arguably the best stretch of his career, though the Knicks didn't win much. In 2010, he signed a deal with the Nuggets, but was traded to the Magic in 2012 as part of the 4-team deal that sent Dwight Howard to the Lakers. He spent the 2014 season with Washington before heading overseas to play in China and Australia, retiring in 2015. Harrington joined the Big 3 League in 2017, winning a title that same season. The following year, he started to get heavily involved in the cannabis business, where he continues to be active as of 2025. Richard Jefferson. Jefferson was born in LA, but raised in Phoenix, where he played for Moon Valley. For college, he joined Lute Olson at Arizona. Teaming up with future pros Gilbert Arenas, Luke Walton, and Lauren Woods, Jefferson helped lead the Wildcats to the national title game in 2001, losing to Duke. He was remarkably steady across his college career, never averaging fewer than 11 points and 4.4 rebounds, but never averaging more than 11.3 points and 5.4 rebounds either. He skipped his senior year of eligibility, and the Rockets picked him 13th overall in the 2001 draft. He was quickly traded to the Nets, where he instantly showed off his all-around game as Keith Van Horn's backup. Despite only starting 9 games, RJ finished in second in Rookie of the Year voting for a team that made the NBA Finals. Partially due to his potential, but also because Kenyon Martin and Keith Van Horn didn't get along, the Nets traded Van Horn to Philly, and Jefferson became the starter in 2003. He upped his scoring to 15.5 a night, and New Jersey made it back to the finals, losing for the 2nd straight year. RJ spent 7 seasons with the Nets, consistently showing out as an all-around threat and averaging 17.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, 3 assists, and nearly 1 steal a night. In 2008, he was traded to the Bucks, kicking off his career as a journeyman. Jefferson spent 10 more years in the NBA, playing for 7 different teams. He won a title in 2016 with LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. He last played in 2018 with the Nuggets. Soon after, he started a broadcasting career, building on the successful podcast he'd started in 2017 with Allie Clifton and Channing Frye. In 2022, he refereed a summer league game, but he's mostly been focusing on his broadcasting career. As of 2025, he's working for ESPN. Kris Lang. Lang joined Capel and Curry at UNC. The 6'11" big man started most of his games during his 4-year career, growing into a 14 points a night scorer by 2002. Lang went unselected in that year's draft and started a long career playing overseas. He played through the 2018 season, spending time in Poland, the G League, Korea, Spain, Italy, Ukraine, Turkey, Venezuela, the Dominican Republic, Argentina, and Uruguay. He won league titles in the G League, Turkey, and Venezuela, and made the Korean League All-Star team in 2005. As of 2025, he owns a sports complex in North Carolina that's heavily geared toward youth sports. Rashard Lewis. Like Harrington, Lewis jumped straight to the NBA, turning down offers from programs like Florida State, Kansas, and Houston. The Supersonics picked him in the second round of the 1998 draft. He was the final player still in the green room at that year's draft. He spent his first 9 years in Seattle, playing alongside Ray Allen for much of that stretch and becoming an everyday starter during his third season. In 2005, Sweet Lou brought his scoring up to 20.5 a night to make his first All-Star team. He continued to be a big scorer for 2 more years in Seattle, becoming the franchise leader for three-pointers made in 2007. That summer, he joined the Magic via a sign-and-trade deal, moving to power forward in the process. Playing alongside a young Dwight Howard, Lewis helped the Magic make the 2009 Finals, losing to the Lakers in 5. He also made the All-Star team that season. Sweet Lou spent a few more years in Orlando before joining the Wizards in 2010 in the trade that sent Gilbert Arenas to the Magic. The aging Lewis played in 60 games over a year and a half and joined the Heat in 2013. He only played about 15 minutes a night during his 2 seasons in Miami, but the long-range sniper helped the team win a title in 2013. He signed with the Mavs ahead of the 2015 season. However, Lewis failed his physical a few days later and his contract was voided. In 2017, he joined the three-headed monsters in the Big Three League. He won League MVP that season and played in the league through 2023. Since then, Lewis seems to be enjoying his retirement. His daughter Gianna is set to join the softball team at Stephen F. Austin in 2026. Kevin Lyde. Lyde was born in DC, but eventually made his way to Oak Hill Academy during his high school journey. He signed with Temple and was a starter from the jump. The 6'10 forward averaged 9 points, 7.6 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks over his career. His best season came in 2001, with averages of 12.8 points, 8.9 boards, and 2 blocks a night. He went undrafted in 2002 and spent some time in the USBL before heading overseas. Lyde played in Argentina, Estonia, Germany, and Italy, finishing his pro career in the G League in 2011. He's largely been out of the public eye since, though he was coaching AAU ball as of a 2024 podcast appearance. Corey Maggette. Maggette left Illinois to play college ball at Duke, joining previous McDonald's All-Americans Elton Brand, Trajan Langdon, Shane Battier, and Chris Burgess. During his lone season on campus, Maggette averaged 10.6 points and 3.9 rebounds, largely coming off the bench, as the team finished as runners-up to UConn for the national title. Maggette decided to jump to the draft. The Supersonics picked him 13th overall, but traded him to Orlando soon after. He mostly came off the bench during his first season, and was traded to the Clippers after it ended. He again came off the bench in year 2, before becoming an everyday starter in 2002. Maggette grew into a 20 points a night scorer by 2004, albeit on mostly bad Clippers squads. In 2006, he missed a big chunk of the year with a foot injury. The next year, the team won its first playoff game in 13 years, though Maggette was still coming off the bench at that point as he worked his way back from injury. The 2008 season saw Maggette average 22 points a night and start 65 games. However, he decided to opt out of his contract and join the Wizards for the 2009 season. Largely playing the six-man role, Maggette averaged 19 points during his 2 years with the team. He was traded to the Bucks ahead of the 2011 season in a trade that involved fellow 98 McDonald's All-American Dan Gadzuric. Maggette spent the next 3 years team hopping and retired in 2013. He did some broadcast work in the mid-2010s before joining the Big Three in 2017. He won the 2018 MVP and championship. He's since gotten back into the media sphere, working for FanDuel Sports Network West as of 2025. Danny Miller. Miller signed with Maryland to start his college career. He spent his first season coming off the bench, but was an everyday starter in 2000 alongside Juan Dixon. He averaged 8.5 points that year, though he lost his starting spot in 2001. There were reports throughout most of his time at Maryland that he wasn't happy with his playtime, and Miller finally decided to transfer to Notre Dame in 2002, a season after the Terps made the Final Four. It's worth noting that his older brother played under Notre Dame coach Mike Bray when they were both at Delaware, which likely played a role in his decision. Maryland fans will remember that the Terps won the national title the next season, so his choice didn't affect them, and to be fair to Miller, he dropped 14 points and 6 rebounds in 2003 after sitting out a season. It's one of those situations where it basically worked out for both parties. Miller went undrafted in 2003. He played in the Cavs Summer League before spending several years playing in Europe. He's mostly been out of the public eye since, and was living a normal life in New Jersey as of 2015. Mike Miller. Miller left South Dakota to play for Billy Donovan at Florida. During his 2 years, Miller became known as a lethal three-point shooter, averaging 13 points a night and hitting just below 35% from deep. The two-time All-SEC player decided to skip his final 2 years of eligibility and enter the 2000 draft after losing to Michigan State in that year's title game. The Magic picked him 5th overall, and the smooth shooting forward averaged 12 points a night to win Rookie of the Year. Miller continued to score in double figures during his 3 years in Orlando, and kept it up when he was traded to the Grizzlies in 2003. In 2006, he took on a 6th-man role and won 6th Man of the Year for Memphis. That said, he started most of his games during his 7 years in Memphis, getting his points per game up to a peak of 18.5 in 2007. After the 2009 season, he was sent to the Timberwolves as part of the Kevin Love for O.J. Mayo deal. He was dealt to the Wizards the next season and signed a deal with the Heat in 2010. Miller's game was falling off by that point, but he still helped the team win 2 titles with his clutch three-point shooting. He went back to Memphis in 2013 and spent a few years team hopping until retiring in 2017. Miller was never an all-star, but he was an incredible marksman from deep, averaging 40% from 3 for his career. In 2018, he joined Penny Hardaway's staff at the University of Memphis and became a great recruiter. In 2020, he left the team and became the coach at a Memphis area high school where he coached his sons, Mason and Maverick. And before we get to those kids, I just want to say that he had a restaurant near me in Memphis called Let It Fly, which has sadly closed down, but their buffalo chicken dip was solid. Anyways, back to the kids. Mason was playing for Creighton in 2025, but has entered the transfer portal. Maverick spent his redshirt freshman season at High Point. Tayshaun Prince. Prince spent his college career at Kentucky. The 6'9" forward averaged 13.1 points, 5.6 rebounds, 1 block, and 1 steal a night across his career. In 2001, Prince was named the SEC Player of the Year and made the second-team All-American squad. He followed that up with a third-team nod in 2002. In the penultimate game of his college career, Prince dropped 41 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks to help Kentucky advance to the 2002 Sweet 16, where they lost to eventual champs Maryland. The Pistons picked Prince 23rd overall in the 2002 draft. As a rookie, he didn't play much until the playoffs, when Detroit was down 3-1 and needed a spark. Prince turned things around, becoming the only player in NBA history to score more points in the playoffs than the regular season. That included dropping 20 points in 24 minutes in Game 7 to give the Pistons the win. The next season, Larry Brown took over, and Prince became a starter, and quickly became known as one of the best perimeter defenders in the league, helping the Pistons win a title. His biggest play that year was his famous chase down block of Reggie Miller in the final seconds of Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals that sealed the win, though he also had a masterclass guarding Kobe Bryant in the finals. Prince continued to improve over the next 4 years, making 4 straight all-defensive teams. He played in Detroit through the 2013 season, but never took that step toward all-star level play. In 2013, Prince was traded to the Grizzlies, kicking off his journeyman era. He played through 2016, spending time in Memphis, Boston, a short return to Detroit, and Minnesota. After retiring, Prince joined the Grizzlies executive staff. He's still working for the team as the VP of Basketball Affairs as of 2025. Joel Przybilla. Przybilla stayed in-state to play for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. He spent 2 seasons with the team, averaging 9.9 points, 6.9 rebounds, and 3.4 blocks. The Rockets picked the 6'1" big guy, 9th overall in the 2000 draft, but traded him to Milwaukee. He averaged less than a point a night in 33 games during his rookie season. He improved slightly during the next 2 years, but was traded to Atlanta during the 04 season. The Vanilla Gorilla signed with Portland and grew into a solid defender during his 8 years with the team, averaging 7 rebounds and 1.5 blocks a night. In 2011, he was traded to Charlotte and re-signed with Portland in 2012. He spent the 2013 season back in Milwaukee before retiring with career averages of 3.9 points, 6.2 boards, and 1.4 blocks a night. He's mostly been out of the spotlight since then. His son Anthony spent the 2025 season playing for Washington University in St. Louis, a D3 school. Quentin Richardson. Q-Rich kept it local to play college ball at DePaul. As a freshman, he averaged 18.9 points and 10.5 rebounds to win the National Freshman of the Year and Conference USA Player of the Year. His sophomore season was pretty similar stats-wise, though Cincinnati's Kenyon Martin won CUSA Player of the Year ahead of him. Richardson decided to skip his final 2 years of eligibility and enter the 2000 draft, where the Clippers picked him 18th overall. That LA squad featured a ton of young players. Lamar Odom, Darius Miles, Corey Maggette, Keon Dooling, and Q-Rich were all 21 or younger and got solid minutes. So, while the team struggled to win much during Richardson's 4 seasons, he showed off a deadly 3-point stroke, averaged 12 points a night, and picked up quite a few votes for 6th Man of the Year in 2002. During his final season with the Clippers, Q-Rich dropped 17 points a night as an everyday starter, but decided to sign with the Suns ahead of the 2005 season. That was the best year of his career. Richardson averaged 15 points a night alongside Steve Nash, Joe Johnson, Sean Marion, and Amare Stoudemire. He led the league in 3-point attempts and co-led the league in makes at 226 alongside Kyle Korver. However, the team traded him to New York after the season. Richardson spent 4 years with the Knicks. He was dealing with nagging injuries throughout that time, and the team never made the playoffs. Ahead of the 2010 season, Q-Rich was traded 4 times in 49 days, ending up in Miami for the year. He's started 75 games for the Heat, averaging 9 points and making nearly 40% of his threes for a playoff team. He then spent 2 years in Orlando before rejoining the Knicks for a few games in 2013, leaving the game soon after. In 2014, Richardson joined the Detroit Pistons staff as the Director of Player Development. He also did some work with the Orlando Magic's broadcast team, but in 2025, most people will recognize him from the Knuckleheads podcast that he's been putting together with Darius Miles since 2022. JaRon Rush. Rush joined Gadzuric at UCLA. As a freshman, he averaged 11.4 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 1.6 steals a night to make the Pac-10 All-Freshman team. The next year, Rush only played in 9 games, after it was discovered that he'd accepted money from his former AAU coach and an agent. When he did play, Rush helped knock off the then number 1 ranked Stanford Cardinal with a buzzer beater in OT on the road. Rush considered transferring, but decided to jump to the NBA. He was not drafted and spent a few years playing in the ABA and D-League. Rush had been dealing with addiction issues and fortunately got help in 2002, going to rehab and retiring from the game. He coached at the youth level in 2006 and was working for a PR firm in 2007 while finishing his college degree. Since then, Rush has been working as a basketball trainer in Kansas City. His two younger brothers, Kareem and Brandon, both also played in the NBA, with Brandon even winning a title in 2015 with the Warriors. That said, neither of them made the McDonald's squad. Rush's son Shea played college ball at North Carolina. While he didn't play much, he did win a national title with the team in 2017. Stromile Swift. Swift joined LSU for college ball. His breakout season came in 2000 when he averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and 2.8 blocks a night to make second-team All-American and win the SEC Player of the Year. Stro skipped his last 2 years of eligibility and entered the 2000 draft, where the Grizzlies picked him second overall. He played in 80 games during his first season, averaging a somewhat disappointing 5 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 block off the bench. However, Stro upped his numbers to 12 points, 6 boards, and 1.7 blocks in year 2 when the team moved to Memphis. And for what it's worth, he also placed 4th in that year's dunk contest, losing to Seattle's Desmond Mason. Unfortunately, that would be the best year of his career. With Pau Gasol breaking out for the Grizz, Swift only started 92 of his 352 games with the team during his first 5 seasons in the league, and while a solid shot blocker, his impact was relatively limited. In 2005, Stro signed with Houston as a free agent. He spent 1 season there before being traded back to Memphis with Rudy Gay for Shane Battier. Swift spent a few more seasons in the NBA, playing in Memphis, New Jersey, and Phoenix, but was out of the league after the 2009 season. He spent a year playing in China, where he made the All-Star team in 2010. He retired after the season and ran into a few legal troubles in 2011, leading to a suspended prison sentence. In the years since, he's worked in youth sports and does occasional media appearances, even appearing on Q Rich's Knucklehead podcast in 2024. Frank Williams. Williams stayed in state to play at Illinois, where he joined back up with former high school teammates Marcus Griffin and Sergio McClain, who had signed with the team 2 years earlier. By his sophomore season, Williams was the team's leading scorer as they earned a number 1 seed in the tourney and advanced to the Elite 8 in Coach Bill Self's first year at the helm. That year, he was named to a few All-American teams and won the Big Ten Player of the Year. Williams upped his numbers to 16 points, 4.7 rebounds, 4.4 assists, and 2 steals, but lost his Big Ten Player of the Year award to Jared Jeffries. The Nuggets picked Williams 25th in the 2002 draft, quickly trading him to the Knicks. He spent 2 years in New York, playing in 77 games and averaging 3.2 points and 2 assists a night. The Bulls acquired him in a trade ahead of the 2005 season, expecting him to compete with Kirk Hinrich for the starting point guard spot. However, Williams showed up to camp overweight and was released after the season. He then played for a few years in the G League, Italy, and Argentina before retiring in 2010. His son DeMonte also played college ball at Illinois before doing a short stint playing overseas in Portugal. Vincent Yarbrough. Yarbrough spent 4 years playing at the University of Tennessee. He started 125 of 127 games and consistently improved his numbers through his 4 years, peaking at 18 points, 7.5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block a night in 2002. The Nuggets picked the 3-time All-SEC player in the second round of the 2002 draft. He spent 1 season in the league, averaging 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal in 59 games. Yarbrough then spent several years playing overseas, with stops in Italy, Belgium, and Germany, hanging up his sneakers in 2010. Since then, Yarbrough has opened a clothing company and basketball academy back in Tennessee, where he still lives as of 2025. Korleone Young. Young grew up in Wichita, but finished his high school career playing for Hargrave Military Academy in Virginia. He decided to skip college and jump straight to the NBA. However, Young fell to the second round of the '98 draft, where the Pistons picked him 40th overall. During the lockout-shortened season, he played in 3 games, averaging 4.3 points. Detroit cut ties with him soon after because of a nagging injury, and after a summer league stint with the 76ers, he was out of the NBA. Young played in the IBL and ABA for a few years before heading overseas, doing stints in Russia and China before retiring in 2006. Over the years, he's become a fixture on the youth training and coaching circuits back in Wichita. Ray Young. Young joined Rush and Gadzuric at UCLA. During his first 3 years on campus, Young was mostly a bench player, though he gave the Bruins solid minutes as a backup guard. After his junior season, Young took a red shirt and became a more consistent starter in 2003. He averaged 10 points, 4 boards, and 2 assists a night, though UCLA only won 10 games. Young went undrafted that year. He spent some time with the Warriors in the Summer League before playing for a few years in the CBA and with the Harlem Globetrotters. During his time at UCLA, he made friends with future pros like Baron Davis and Matt Barnes. Since hanging up his sneakers, he's helped those players with various business ventures. As of 2025, he's working as the chief of staff for All the Smoke, the podcast that stars Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson. And that wraps up the 98 McDonald's All-American squad. I'll get to the next crop of players in a few weeks, but if you have any other basketball videos you'd like to see, please share them below.